wanted to say thank you for everyone for attending tonight. I know it's the rain. The rain is a bother, and it's been stuffy all day. I actually just got out of school, so it's been a wonderful experience to meet everyone here. And I want to thank also my parents for coming as well. So it's a big honor for them to come. And one of the reasons why I'm running for the seat here is because I feel as though, as I talk to everyone in the neighborhood, schools have been a big issue throughout District 6, and it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, because as a school teacher in the Boston Public Schools for the last 6 years, I know exactly what's going on in the schools. I know what works and what doesn't work, and I also know that that the struggles that parents and teachers and also administrators as well as young people face every day in the schools. So I feel that I can lend that voice if I was so honored to be elected into the city council, to lend that voice and advocate for them so that we are able to have a better future for all of us as well as our children.
Would it be possible for you to just leave that on the table?
Yes.
I think that'd be a little bit easier for the candidate and for you as well. Nice to meet you.
Great. Well, thanks very much for coming. So as Ruben mentioned, our questions are based on your responses, and we'll do follow-ups. Reserve the right to cut you off if you ramble too much, so we get through as many questions, but most folks are usually pretty good. So the first question we want to talk about is charter reform. You've indicated some support for some sort of charter reform in the coming session, and you mentioned term limits as a possibility. There are some who would argue that charter reform must include steps to give the city council more power. Do you agree with that sentiment? And if so, what sort of additional powers do you think city council should have?
I feel that in terms of power, it's power to the residents of Boston, because I feel that that's the way in which the city council needs to operate, and that we are providing a service to the community, and that's the major thing in terms of providing power. Whereas you're just taking individuals, the voice of who you represent, to the community, so that we are able to know and be informed about what's happening in the city council. Because I find that too often times I don't get to hear what my city councilor has to say. I don't get to see the meetings, or it's arranged at a time where it's very inconvenient for people. So I think that it goes back to what I said about in my first piece about democratic participatory government, where we need to do our own part in order to make sure that we hold our city councilors accountable. So because in the end, we vote for them to go into office. So I think that's the biggest piece there in terms of what a city council can do.
So would it be fair to interpret that to say that you believe the city council has the power it needs under the current charter?
I believe so as of right now, okay. And I think that it's important to think about just giving that message to the people.
Okay. One specific proposal out there is to allow the city council to make changes to the city budget rather than just vote it up or down. Is that a change that you would be interested in supporting, or no?
I think that it's very important for us to have a voice in the budget, because I believe in getting the budget out into the community and making sure that not only is it online, which it already is, but also having residents informed of what's going on in the budget, because it's very important, because it's our tax dollars, and we have this perception that our tax dollars are not being used wisely, and so in order to combat that, we need to make sure that we're doing the necessary steps to have the budget process be as open as possible.
One of the bigger issues in the city council and mayoral race last year was the role of the BRA, and whether or not any reforms to the BRA were needed. Do you think that the BRA currently does a good job, particularly with regards to housing and development projects right here in District 6, or are there any specific changes you would suggest?
I think that in terms of the BRA, we need to really take a look at that and make sure that there are just a review, because it's very important to again, it's a government agency, and tax dollars is going into that agency. So we need to make sure that it's transparent to everyone, and that it's not perceived again as some sort of slush fund or some sort of fund on the side, so that we are able to see our results and what's happening in the community.
Do you think it's currently transparent enough, or do you think there needs to be more transparency?
I think there needs to be more transparency in the ERA, and to take a look at what works and what does not work.
We're going to move on to education. A recent study ranked Boston schools the 4th most segregated in the country, isolating Black and Latino students in low-performing schools. What, if anything, do you think needs to be done to change the situation here in Boston?
First of all, we need to take a look at neighborhood schools, because neighborhood schools are going to ensure that parents get involved, as well as the greater community in general. However, there is a problem with neighborhood schools as of right now, at the current time, because the schools aren't all of high quality. And so I've been going out in the community saying that until every school is of high quality in the city of Boston, we are not going to be able to have neighborhood schools. So the biggest thing is the turnaround schools that I mentioned in the piece, is the 12 turnaround schools right now proposed by Superintendent Johnson. 12 turnaround schools, if they are successful, would be a model for the other schools in the community to go up to par and make sure that our schools are of top quality, so that we can start talking about lowering transportation costs. Then we can start talking about neighborhood schools.
A lot of times when folks sort of focus on specific schools, so you mentioned 12 turnaround schools, it also comes up with charter schools. One concern that's raised is that we're focusing on specific schools, but we're not actually doing enough to make sure that every single school is of high quality. And you talk in your questionnaire about providing quality schools in every neighborhood. Can you elaborate a little bit more on
Sure.
how we really get there?
Sure. I work at a school right now, the Edwards Middle School in Charlestown, which provides a extended day school. And I know that it's a big problem because in terms of funding for extended day schools, it's only one of, I think, 20 middle schools in the state that has extended day programs. And where are we going to get that money to pay for it is one of our toughest tasks to try to ensure. The other thing is that with that extended day program, we're able to have outside providers come in and do activities with the kids. So it's not just staying in the classroom all day and be in classes all day. They get to go outside. They get to play soccer. They get to do arts. They get to do dance. They get to do music, band. So and STEP. So there are many different activities that we engage the community so that we are able to have a more broad, multifaceted education for our children. Because that's the most important thing. Because we need to engage our kids more and more. And if we just pigeonhole our kids to just do the 4 core subjects, English, math, science, and social studies, it's not going to engage a lot of kids.
Going to move on to the Firefighter Arbitration decision. Last year, many city councilors supported the initial 19.5% decision, not necessarily because they thought firefighters deserved that large of a raise, but because they believed it was the city council's, as they put it, obligation to support the decision. The council did ultimately agree to a 16.5% agreement. From you, we'd like to know, do you think it was the obligation of the city council to support that? And if you were forced to vote on it, would you have voted for the 19.5%?
It was a very difficult decision to be had, and the thing is that I don't think it shouldn't even be put to a vote in the first place, as I stated. Because the thing is that there was a lot of bickering on both sides, and I think that if we just take a more cordial approach to our negotiation and not such a hard line on certain things. Because I understand. I mean, I'm a proud union member. I mean, I am a member of the Boston Teachers Union. But I feel as though sometimes unions they tend to be very rigid, and it's very important to think about the greater community at large. Because if we don't think about that, and we just think about ourselves here, this group or this group or this group, we're not going to make progress in order to have our greater community be viable. So that's the major thing. And also, and if I were to be put to a vote, I think that it would have been a very difficult decision, and I'm glad that I didn't have to make it. But again, I'm going to look to what my constituents would think about in District 6, and hear what they have to say in order for me to make an informed decision about how to vote.
So that's not going to take a position on how you
Because I feel as though I need to have an informed decision based on the residents and constituents of District 6, because it's unfair, I feel, for me to have a decision without having their voices heard.